All right, well, the shenanigans have begun. That's right. Target, Walmart, and other stores are already sneakily, scummily rolling out massive price increases. Even their own employees are calling it out and saying it's kind of scary. The fact of the matter is, though, these new prices are nonsense. The price markups, instead of taking a little bit less profit, these companies are rolling out the highest levels of corporate greed we've ever seen. I'm going to show you a couple of examples from Target and Walmart that will blow your mind. Make sure you leave a like on this video if you haven't yet. Please do subscribe or follow down below. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, this article starts out saying, Target worker exposes massive tariff price hike for popular items, quote, kinda scared. Okay. I want to look at a couple of the items that they're pointing out here because it is outrageous. For months, big retailers have been warning that prices will rise. Now, thanks to insider information from Target workers, the extent of those rises or raises are becoming apparent. Staff say it's just the beginning. Now, look, tariffs obviously are going to, we're always going to affect prices. We understand this. There are alternative producers of items that they have had months to swap in, and many companies have simply chosen to not bother, to just pass the cost directly onto you when they have more than enough margin. Here's a perfect example. A $9.99 USB cord. A USB-C, USB Charlie cord, 6-footer, costs probably about a nickel to make en masse. And let's say it's 25 cents. Hell, let's say it's 50 cents per cable. This is something you can buy right now on Amazon for under $5, maybe $6. You buy the Amazon Basics brand for $5. Okay. Target was already charging double anyone else at $9.99. And now they've raised the price up to $17.99. Not only is that, outrageous, it isn't backed by facts. There are hundreds of examples of sub $8 USB-C cables you can buy on Amazon or eBay or anywhere else. Target is just taking advantage of impulse buys here. There is no real pressing reason why you would have to buy USB cable from Target unless you're like, oh crap, I need a USB cable. Everybody knows you don't buy. It's like buying a USB cable from a gas station. You only do that if you're in an absolute pinch. It's happening, the worker wrote, sharing a photo of the price tag update. All Heyday is going up. Well, guess what Heyday is? Heyday is Target's in-house brand that they buy from China and mark it up like it's made in America, like it's made in, it's a Target brand. It's not Chinese crap. It's the same thing that Best Buy had with their brand, Insignia, and all their cables, all their USB cables. They were just China crap repackaged. It's like what a lot of my coffee competitors do. It's just big garbage coffee repackaged. Put a YouTuber's name on it. Not my coffee, but a lot of my competitors' coffee is like that. The spike is an 80% increase, and of course is being blamed on the latest tariffs linked to President Trump's trade policies. But didn't we pause those tariffs? Those tariffs have been paused. Here, Heyday USB cable, $17.99 from $9.99. Not to mention, by the way, every cable on this rack was obtained at the lower price. So the idea that the price of these cables have been affected by the tariffs is also nonsense. The cord is another example of consumers taking to social media to criticize price increases. Shoppers have already seen costs balloon at popular stores, including Shein, Temu, and Amazon. Well, Shein and Temu are garbage Chinese websites, right? There are plenty of companies in America that make USB cables that will not be affected by these price tariffs. And Amazon chose instead Amazon said, hey, we're not going to deal with that. We're not going to get you better cables. We're going to go ahead. We're not going to get American cables. We're just going to pass on the cost directly to you because we like our profit margins too much. So far, the increases haven't made a major dent in national inflation data. April's rate was moderately up. Some executives have warned that consumers will start to feel the impact more broadly in the months ahead. Best Buy and Walmart CEOs have both warned about higher prices. GM and Ford executive both said tariffs will cut billions out of their company's profits, but that's not true, is it? That's not true, is it? Because they are passing the cost on directly to the consumer. Target has been transparent about their consumer pricing implications of Trump's trade wars for months. The company's CEO, Brian Cornell, started warning customers during a March earnings call that when the U.S. was staring down the potential 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian products, at the time he warned that everyday grocery items frequently cross borders before making their ways to Target aisles, like strawberries, avocados, bananas, and coffee beans, were all set to increase in prices. By the way, Coffee Brand Coffee did not increase our prices. Make a little less money on some of the beans, depending on where the tariffs are and where they, where they are, how they've been put in place. If there's a 25% tariff, those prices will go up. Target's margin on a Chinese USB cable is probably 500 to 1,000%. If there's a 25% tariff, they absolutely positively could just make only 475%. But that's not what they're doing. Other major importing countries continue to face 10% tariffs from the US. In April, the country started collecting the tax on all imported goods. Now companies are trying to find a way to protect their profits while also maintaining their store inventories. So they're just screwing customers over. There are all sorts of American manufacturers. Now watch this. Let me just look. Made in USA. Made in USA USB cable. Look at that. You can find all sorts of stuff that are probably made in America here. I know there's a Cables to Go company right here in Milwaukee. I think it was called Cable Sale because I used to drive down there and pick up Ethernet cable. They were right here in America. There's all sorts of possibilities. By the way, I see Target's native Union Belt cable for $20. I see, who in the hell is going to pay this? There are dozens of people you can buy USB cables, $8.99. Here's for two of them, $8.99 on Amazon. Here's one for $7. Fast charging cable. And that's, again, I don't know exactly how many of these are going to be made in America, but, USB cables made in America to avoid Chinese-made cables. Decent made cables in Taiwan. Javex is the brand to search for. Let's see. USB-C. I mean, you can still find ASB-U and A and B. YC Cables has a factory in the United States. Space cables, Dream cables, Swirl cables, USB-Cs, all made in America. Right? So you can get all these cables. Swirl cable, USB-C. The idea that Target wouldn't want to just buy from them tells you everything you need to know. Now, how much more expensive is it? Oops. Oh, let's see. Anyway, you get the idea. Now, poor Walmart also has no choice, folks. They just have no choice but to roll out huge change, making its, quote, afraid of customers after being issued a warning. The retailer has been warned that it's being watched after being blasted for this change. Interesting. The nation's largest retailer held an earnings call last Thursday in which it reported a strong first quarter to the fiscal year, but also delivered some grim news for shoppers. Now, again, they aren't going to make less money. They're just going to pass it on to you, even though they just reported record profits. Despite issuing a message of hope to customers, Walmart CEO Doug McMillon gave a blunt warning about prices. None of its customers will escape the hikes. has impacted a huge range of objects, items from fruits and vegetables to children's car seats and other products. The chain's CFO admitted on CNBC that he is concerned as despite the agreement between the US and China over slashing tariffs by 115% for 90 days, the taxes are just simply too high still. We're wired for everyday low prices, but the magnitude of these increases is more than any retailer can absorb. That's just not true. That's just not true. These companies are just full of it. Trump has called on Walmart to absorb the prices rather than sticking it to the customers. I mean, again, Kroger, everybody, the basket fee that Walmart brought back, which primarily affects low-income and fixed-income individuals. Is that because, the price of goods is too high? No, it's because you just want more money. That's all this is. They just want more money. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising their prices throughout the chain. Trump posted on Truth Social. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. That's true. Between Walmart and China, they should have said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I will be watching you, and so will your customers, he added. The president's comments echoed those of former Walmart CEO who slammed the chain on Friday. Their own CEO, Bill Simon, who was the chief of the retailer between 2010 and 2014, called out current executives in his own interview on CNBC after the retailer reported better than expected financial profits. If you look down deep and you dig into the details of their earnings release, today you know that this quarter they grew their gross profit margin in the United States alone by 25 basis points. So they're expanding their margin. They're also reported in general merchandise categories were flattish because they had mid-single-digit price deflation. That gives them room, in my view, to manage any tariff impact that they would have. But they don't care. They're just screwing the customers over. Nobody should be surprised by this. Just don't let them tell you it's exclusively because of tariffs. They just want to maintain their super high profit margins. And hey, they have shareholders. But I just want my viewers to know the whole picture. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.